Hey, how's it going? I'm really enjoying Season 9 so far, so I thought I'd make a quick video, and it's going to be about advanced skill orders since I think most people just level one skill after another until everything's maxed out, and there's a lot more you can do with it. So let's start off with the first most basic one being the rank 2 power spike. Most players at level 3 are going to put one rank into each ability, but on some characters, you're actually going to want to put 2 points into one ability because some abilities give a lot more damage at rank 2, and only at the cost of 5 or 10 more mana, which means they're a lot more mana efficient, which is really useful in the early game when you don't have much mana. Not to mention, some abilities are completely forgettable early game, like Ullr's 2 here. The perfect example for this is Fenrir's 3, Brutalize, because at rank 2, it almost doubles in damage up to 300 plus 200% scaling. At this point in the game, everybody's usually also level 3, meaning they have around 600 HP. So Brutalize is going to take a massive chunk out of them, but only if you put that second point into it. Other straightforward examples would be Tyr's Red Dash, because it more than doubles in damage, and even in the solo lane, this is really useful for clearing wave. Tsukuyomi's 2 is also really good because it gets increased stun duration and double damage. Another one that's notable is King Arthur's Orange Stance 3, but it does need a bit of explanation. This ability nearly triples in damage when you put a second point into it. But since King Arthur is a solo laner and you get CC'd a lot, you might just end up wasting the points you put into it because you'll get CC'd out of it. Instead of rushing it, I would recommend putting a second point into it at level 6 and instead putting 2 points into your 1 at level 3. Okay, now I saved the best for last. The best rank 2 of all time is definitely Nuwa's Clay Soldiers. Because the second rank gets another minion, the protection shred goes up 4 times and the damage triples. Plus, you get another stun target for your 3 and it body blocks. But just like King Arthur, I wouldn't rush this at level 3, put a point into it at like 5, 6, or 7. This might come as a surprise, but sometimes you don't want to put additional points into your ultimate after rank 1. And I'm going to use Ao Kuang as an example here. His ultimate gets 50 flat damage and a 5% heal every rank on a single target. Meanwhile, his 2 and 3 are on a much lower cooldown, but still get comparable amounts of damage per rank. The execute threshold is always at 30% no matter what the level. The only thing that changes is the 50 flat damage when you stab the target and don't execute, which is pretty unviable to play around unless you're going for a budget Naja setup combo or something. So that's why this is how I level him up in most of my games. Tyr is another great example, as while his ult is no slouch when ranked up, it gets completely overshadowed by his other abilities because both his 1 and 2 rank up both stances of that ability, meaning each additional point you put into them acts as 2 points. So it might look kind of weird, but this is what I do every game as Tyr. After that, you can do whatever you want, but this is generally what I do. But the absolute best character to do this on is Fenrir, as his ult only gets 75 damage on a single target per rank. Because of this, all of his abilities, even his 2, is better to rank up before his ultimate. So put a point into it at level 5 and then forget it until late game. While we're on the topic of neglecting our ultimates, let's touch on level 5 ult skips. Most characters at level 5 experience a really big power spike because of their ultimate, but there are some exceptions. If you're playing Tyr in the solo lane, you can usually skip a point in your ultimate and instead put it in your 1 or 2 for better clear and trading. And so a lot of times my skill priority will look like this early game. And we all know how little Nuwa's rank 1 ultimate does. It does like 90 damage, so this is useful on her too. So unless there's a gank going down, you might just want to put another point into your 3 or maybe get that rank 2 Clay Soldiers that I touched on earlier, and then get your ult at level 6 or 7. Everybody knows you can't rank up one ability too much in Smite, otherwise you'd have a max ranked ability at level 5. You can only reach your max rank ability at level 9, which is also a level that you want to put a point into your ultimate. Figuring out which one is best for you in a situation is very difficult to make, but you actually can avoid that difficult decision altogether if you save a point all through level 8. And once you hit level 9, you can grab both your max ranked ability and your rank 2 ultimate at the same time. This is almost an essential tip on somebody like Onher, a god who has a really good early and mid game and has 2 main damaging abilities that you want at max rank at all times. That logic also applies perfectly to Agni and is also useful on burst mages like Ra or Scylla who want a max ranked ability and ultimate so that they can get their burst off. And here's a couple other random tips. On Poseidon, only put 3 points into your 3 because it fully clears the wave and basically nobody stands in it, so it's not useful when you're trying to kill gods. Instead, put points in your 2 or 1 for better camp clear or burst damage. And if you're playing Athena, put 3 points into your taunt, that way the combo with your shield wall has a perfect amount of time for the second hit to go off, and the enemy is still CC'd. If you don't do this, people will get un-CC'd and walk out before the second hit of shield wall goes off. The same thing goes for Ymir's combo as well. If you put 2 points into Frost Breath, it lasts the perfect amount of time for your Glacial Strike to hit. Alright, that was it. Hope you found something useful. See ya!